Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show, and happy Tuesday.
I have a lot on that.
Okay.
I've been trying to find somebody. There's got to be like a Rangers prospect who was born on February 20th.
My mom sent me some cool facts earlier.
February 2nd, 2000. So they'd be turning 22 on 2/22/22. That is happening to, I found this.
Mm-hmm.
Dateline,
Yeah,
Duluth,
okay.
Georgia.
Okay.
Jill Ross and Jake Bieniek, it's a bad last name, Bieniek, of Duluth, Georgia, are triplets who are turning 22 today.
That's pretty cool.
They were born on 2/22/2000.
Wow.
They're turning 22.
There was a news article that came out earlier
Some
today,
numbers are
too,
the
that
same.
there was a baby born at 2:22 this morning. So
Of course there was.
Yeah, I know, but
There's
that's
babies born every minute.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just saying that's pretty neat.
2/22 on 2/22/22.
So this is
I don't have. Listen. That sounds fun,
Mhm.
but as somebody whose second child was born at 2:35 in the morning,
It's not as cool as it's
2:38,
cracked up.
whatever it was, yeah, thumbs down.
So
Thumbs down for that.
it's a palindrome week.
Palindrome, yes.
Yeah, every date through the end of the month will read the same forward as it does backwards.
Yeah, so like 27th will be 2/27/22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then on the date Tuesday, the 22nd, February 22, will be both that and an ambigurum.
Yeah.
The date will read the same left to right, from right to left, and upside down. Like, it's just a bunch of twos.
Huh.
And zeros. How cool is that?
Mildly cool. The answer to that is mildly cool.
We're a numbers podcast. I thought you would be super hyped about this.
what is the? I looked this up. I was trying to think like palindromes, because palindromes are same thing forward and backward.
Mm-hmm.
It always blew my mind that race car was the same forward and backward.
Yeah. So what are other common palindromes that we don't recognize?
The longest one is tat-a-rat-tat, which is the sound made by knocking a door. It's 12
Yeah, but that's
words.
an onomatopoeia, isn't it?
It is. It's an onomatopoeia as well.
Okay.
It can be an onomatopoeia and a palindrome.
That seems like it's in too many buckets.
Like, the word gag is both a palindrome and an onomatopoeia.
Yeah, but that's a lot better than tat-a-rat-tat or whatever it was that you said.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. Sir, I demand I am a maid named Iris is the same forward and backwards. How do
people come up with this stuff?
I don't know.
Who looks at that sentence and goes, you know what? I think we've got something cooking here.
There is so the longest documented, this is true, the longest documented palindrome is a novel. Dr. Awkward and Olsen in Oslo is by Lawrence Levine, was put out in 1986. It is around 200 pages long, and it is one giant palindrome, the whole book.
How in the world?
I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Do you know how long that would take to figure out 200 pages? Especially because it's one thing to be able to put that together, but to make it make sense, Like to find words that make sense.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, Dr. Awkward,
yeah.
Dr. Awkward, and then Olsen in Oslo is also, yeah.
Like, we think writing a 400-page magazine is hard.
Yeah.
That's a whole other level of sicko in your brain.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sickness. I don't know. There are people who just have their brains wired in strange ways.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say strange, just different ways.
Well, I guess you can compare, like, a part of me, I feel like, can compare that to, like, people learn, like, different study tactics,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was easy to remember and, what are they called?
Obviously.
The name has
something that helped
escaped me.
you remember.
No, an acronym.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to remember that if you, like, associate it with something else. And so, like,
yeah.
there's, like, different study tactics that, like, definitely worked for some people, but absolutely do not work for other people.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's along the same thing. Like, some people look at it word by word rather than sentence by sentence.
That reminds me of, and I know we've had, this has been a wide-ranging pre-show. I know we've had at one point, like, standardized test talk.
Mm-hmm.
Like SAT and stuff like that, but I read a book, going into my junior year of high school. I read a book because I'm the coolest guy
Nerd!
I read a book about how to take the SAT, basically,
mm-hmm.
and it like really helped me because it gave me just a couple of strategies that like now as like an adult seem
mm-hmm.
like, of course you would do that, but like for example, if you can go and you can like what they say is, if you there's 4 answers for every question, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you can eliminate 2. If you can just be like, I know it's not that, and I know it's not that, right? And so down to these 2, just take a guess. Because you're going to get, 50% and stuff like that. Just don't leave it blank. And there's little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
You were a good standardized test taker,
Very
right?
good standardized
okay, see,
test
I was as well.
Yeah, my wife was not.
No.
My wife was.
But she's super smart.
But she's way smarter than I am.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that she's way smarter than I am, but she was terrible.
Well, I guess that's my brother.
I don't think she handles the time element, the pressure.
Okay, my brother and I were the same way. Like when we would do like the reading specific stuff, my brother would read all the time. I mean, he was big book nerd. He could read incredibly fast. He could read fast out loud. Like he was a great reader, which I know sounds dumb, but it is a thing.
No.
And
I have a 3-year-old. I'm very familiar with the idea of being a good reader.
And I was not that good of a reader. So, but when we would take the standardized test, since I knew I wasn't, I would take so much more time and highlight everything and go back and find stuff. I always did really well on the reading section of test, and he never did. And my mom was like, why? And it's because he's such a good reader. He just blazes through it.
Yeah.
And it's like the testing part was difficult for him.
Anyway, happy
Numbers Day.
Happy
Tuesday.
Whatever. Hit the theme expo. Pickle! Hit the air sign. from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. Something funny?
Yeah, what? That's like some big action that you got going on over there.
It is Texas Football Today, a show that's just trying to, enjoy the day. My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live on TexasFootball.com, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter, on all of the things, or you listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She's back. She's the Duchess of the Dork. She's Ashley Pickle.
I'm back.
Hi,
friends.
Everyone missed you. That's not true.
That is so not true. Mallory was here. There's no way.
People like Mallory too. That's the thing. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2022. No, February 22nd, 2022.
Come on.
I don't know.
You had one job.
I don't care. 275 days till Thanksgiving. That's much more important. Happy birthday to, I don't know. Happy birthday to a lot of people. Who is somebody? Rachel Dratch, it's her birthday from SNL. She's funny.
Oh, yeah, she is good.
Debbie Downer. Episode 1337. On today's show, guys, we're going to talk about, it's Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. See?
Tuesday.
We're going to talk about the best debuts for Texas high school football coaches in 2021 who made their biggest impact at their new school in 2021. We'll talk about that. And then back half the show, we'll be joined by one of the coaches we're going to be talking about, Giovanni Gonzalez, the head coach of the Carrizo Springs Wildcats, who they had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, 10-1.
Best year since first undefeated regular season since like 1984.
Wow.
Yeah, big doings there. So we will hear from Coach Giovanni Gonzalez of Carrizo Springs coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was just Chad, Aaron Arbuckle, Tony Blaylock, and Daniel Agnew. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, my friends. Okay, it is Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
Oh, God. That's terrible.
I'm back.
Let's talk about first-year Texas high school football coaches. So last year, we talked about this, but there was a lot of movement in the Texas high school football landscape last year. There was, in fact, a little more than 20% of all UIL 11-man teams changed coaches.
Yeah, Step Bomb season lasted forever.
Right. Now, if you look at like the NFL, how many coach changes are going to be in the NFL? Like 8?
Yeah.
That's, about 25%.
I was going to say that, yeah, percentage-wise.
Still a lot of turnover. Here. And, of course, Matt Stepp keeps track of these on TexasFootball.com. You can find all the coaching changes. 217 UIL 11-man coaching changes, head coaching changes. And I think it's kind of hard to determine who had the best year among first-year coaches, because I think that there's a lot of different ways to view it, because I think everybody's starting from a different point.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the NFL. If you were to go and take over the Los Angeles Rams, or you were to go and take over the
Jets.
Jacksonville Jaguars, you should be held to different standards, I think.
You're walking into two totally different locker rooms.
One's a champion and one's a dud, right? And I think that's something that's worth exploring here. In as far as talking about which coaches had the best years in Texas high school football in their debut seasons at their new school. So we're going to start with the most basic of measure, which is who won the most games. Which coach won the most games? The winner was Billy Mathis. Billy Mathis at Brock. They went 15-1. One of two coaches to lead a team to the state championship in their first year. Billy Mathis, and then also Kent Walker at Liberty Hill. Now, Kent Walker comes with a very small, very slight asterisk, which is that he was the interim head coach last year when his brother Jeff tragically died. So it's his first year. He counts because he was a first-year full-time head coach and stuff like that. But he does come with a little bit of asterisk. Billy Mathis totally new there at Brock. Brad Willard at Mount Vernon won 14 games. Benjamin Bittner at Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial won 12, and then there were 7 coaches who won 11 games in their debut season there. Overall, it was 17 of the 217 won 10 or more games. right?
Mm-hmm.
10 wins. I think we all agree. If you win 10 games, pretty good year.
Pretty
Right.
stinking good.
But that's not necessarily the whole tale because, for example, and I'm not taking anything away from Billy Mathis, but Brock was pretty good in 2020, right?
Yes,
they were
absolutely.
pretty good.
They
were a
lost
regional
like Cash
semifinals.
Jones and stuff like that, a couple key pieces, but they had a majority
They were
returning.
a regional semifinal team lost to Jim Ned, eventual state champion Jim Ned.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Vernon, pretty good team under Coach Art Briles.
Yep.
Brad Willard takes over. Again, Kent Walker's a little bit of a different situation. But let's dive a little bit deeper. What about which coaches improved their team's win total the most? Some teams, some people inherit a program that's already at the top. Others are starting at ground zero. Here were the teams that improved the most with a first-year head coach. And it's Little Cypress Mauriceville is the answer.
Yep.
Is Eric Peavy. What he did at Little Cypress Mauriceville. He took over a program that was 1-7, took them to 11-3, a 10-win improvement. I believe that is tied for the biggest leap overall of any program. I want to say that's the case. But then you take a look at there were a couple coaches in Israel Gonzalez at Harlingen South, which, by the way, I want some credit. I called this. I told you that when Israel Gonzalez moved over to Harlingen South from Lyford, I said he's going to do big things, and I was right. He improved them by 8 wins. So did Greg Hardcastle at Dublin. Ruben Torres and Jeff Fleener at Marlin and Forney, respectively, improved their teams by 7 wins. And then 5 coaches, Giovanni Gonzalez is Carrizo Springs, who's going to join us later in the show. Fort Penn High Towers Cornelius Anthony, Brent Davis, who moved from San Angelo Central to Gregory Portland, Moses Patterson, who took over at McAllen Memorial, and Coy Detmer, who took over for his late father at Somerset. They all improved their win total by 6 wins.
I gotta say, Fleener at Forney being able to take him from no wins to 7 wins might be one of the most impressive in my eyes, because that's taking a program that doesn't know how to win a game and showing them.
I would kind of put Eric Peavy and Greg Hardcastle at Dublin in that same boat as well. That these were programs that were close to rock bottom. And took them from there to really good. By the way, if you're interested, of the 217 teams. Of the 217 new coaches, 112 of them, a little less than 52%, led them to a higher win total in 2021.
Wow.
But let's break this down a little bit further, okay? So let's talk a little bit. Let's break down by sides of the ball. We're going to start with scoring offense. Because there are some coaches who they're offensive minded. They want to come in. They want to spark their, the defense may take some time, but let's get this offense in order. And there were a few coaches who certainly did that. Remember, we had conversations in the offseason when Chad Rogers left Denison to go take over at Tioga.
That's a big classification change.
There is no doubt that he is a ball coaching jack.
Yep.
He improved their offense by 26 points a game. To go from 10 points a game to 36 points a game, pretty remarkable. Jeff Caffey at Shamrock and Dusty Ortiz at Odessa did similar things at 24.3 points per game. Lance Gamble at Alto improved them by 22 points per game. They are going to be looking, by the way, for their 3rd coach in 3 seasons. Gamble resigned, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. And there's Eric Peavy again. More than 3 touchdowns per game. Took them from 8.6 points per game to 30 points per game. Very respectable. And then Aaron Vanasek at Thrall. Giovanni Gonzalez, there he is again. Brent Davis, there he is again. Israel Gonzalez, there he is again. And then Roderick Thompson and Austin Anderson took the Trojans from a middling offense to a pretty darn good one there with the Trojans. So overall, of the 217 first-year coaches, 111 of them saw an improvement, and 106 of them saw a step back. But that's not the whole tale. So let's go to the other side of the ball. Let's talk about the defense, who improved their defense the most. And I think the top line's really fascinating.
Yep.
Okay? So the most improved defense by a first-year head coach is Jeff Fleener at Forney, which is really interesting because you know who Jeff Fleener is. Jeff Fleener is Kyler Murray's offensive coordinator.
So the guy pretty much knows offense.
He's known as an offensive wizard, and here he is taking over a program that was giving up 46 points per game and cutting it in half.
Yeah.
I mean, really doing big things there. It did an impressive job improving their defense. Chad Rogers at Tioga's second. So first most improved offense, second most improved defense for Chad Rogers at Tioga. Scott Kissy at San Antonio Cole improved them by 3 touchdowns per game defensively. Same with Danny DeArmond when he moved from, Arlington Lamar.
Yes.
Right? Sounds right.
No. Yes. Hang on.
Bowie. Arlington Bowie.
Bowie.
Arlington Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
To Joshua, he improved them by 21 points a game. And then there's Giovanni Gonzalez again at Carrizo Springs, 20 points per game. He took that. What I think is really impressive about them, if you take a look at Giovanni Gonzalez, the job he did there, he took a defense that was pretty average and he made them elite, the number one scoring defense in the class. That, like, for example, what Jeff Fleener is doing was taking a bad defense. They were 115th out of 122 programs in 5A Division II in 2020. And then he carved 22 points off their average and improved them to 42nd, right? So, like, upper half.
Yeah, and it's impressive enough to be able to take an offense and do it, or take a defense and do that, but to do them both is
That's
unbelievable.
Nate Langford at Luling, Ruben Torres at Marlin, David Silva at Dilley, Seth Hobbs at Mineral Wells, and Cornelius Anthony at Fort Bend Hightower round out the top 10 as far as most improved scoring defenses by a first-year coach. So, by the way, only 97 of the 217 coaches improved their defense in 2020. Only 44% of them. So then where does that leave us? Okay, so then who had the best year? I think there's an argument to be made that of the 217, there are 9 that I think have a claim to being the best first-year head coach. Okay. One of them is a gentleman we're going to talk to in a moment. It's Giovanni Gonzalez at Carrizo Springs. He is the only coach who won 10 games, improved his team's win total by at least 6 games, ranked in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive improvement. He's the only one who ticks all 4 of those boxes.
Yep.
There's 4 other guys who tick 3 of those boxes. Eric Peavy at Little Cypress Mauriceville, Ruben Torres at Marlin, Cornelius Anthony at Fort Bend Hightower, and Israel Gonzalez at Harlingen South. And then there's another 4 guys who tick 2 of the boxes, which are Moses Patterson at McCall Memorial, Brent Davis at Gregory Portland, Jeff Fleener at Forney, and Chad Rogers at Tioga. I think that right there, those 9, if you want to come to me and pick one of them and say, you know what, Moses Patterson at McCall Memorial, he was the best first-year coach in Texas high school football in 2021, I might agree with you. I think any of those 9 would certainly lay a claim to that. But it's very impressive what they were able to do, because how many times do we hear about coaches coming in? It's like, boy, okay, like, we got to install a new culture, we got to install a new offense, we got to install all these things. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing, is they're not, like, at that portion when you were at those 0-9, when you are at the 8-1 type of things. You're not just flipping a script of what new coaches have to do, of changing the scheme or changing this or bringing in a new coach. You're changing the whole program culture at that point. Yeah,
and that's what's so interesting. Is a lot of these coaches, there's some coaches who are promoted from within. Jeff Walker, Kent Walker, rather, was promoted from within.
And that culture basically stays the same at that point.
Same. The gentleman we're about to talk to, Giovanni Gonzalez, he was not in the program. Now, he's an alum, but he was not in the program, right? He came from, I want to say he was defensive coordinator at Uvalde. That's what's so impressive to me, is that they were able to make these, especially when you're coming from the outside, like Eric Peavy did at Little Cypress Mauriceville, right? Like Brent Davis did at Gregory Portland, like Israel Gonzalez did at Harlingen South. To do that, I think, is especially impressive. So, look, you can see the piece up on TexasFootball.com, the best coaching debuts in Texas high school football in 2021. Your mileage may vary, but there were some awfully impressive first-year coaches in 2021. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. Hope you'll consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. 2 magazines, a year's worth of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com. You will get the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you before it hits newsstands. It will be, you will get it before it hits newsstands if you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. So make sure you go check that out. Also, TexasFootball.com/merch. Go buy a fanny pack.
Yes, we are still in the fanny pack movement.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's go down to DeWitt County and talk with the head coach of the Carrizo Springs Wildcats. We are joined by Coach Giovanni Gonzalez. Coach, how are you?
All right, pretty good. How about yourself?
Excellent. How are things in beautiful Carrizo Springs, Texas?
Oh, definitely. We're starting to get a little bit of that South Texas heat. You know how that goes down here in Texas. A little climate change. It's one day cold, one day hot.
I want to ask you about your 2021 season because it's pretty remarkable. We just did a segment on the best first year coaches in Texas high school football. I think you certainly lay at least some sort of claim to that. What you guys were able to do, taking over a program, that you obviously have close ties to. Taking it over late, I think people may not recognize. Remember, you took over in late May, and then to go and to run off your first outright district championship since 1997, first undefeated regular season since 1984. My question for you is when you took over the job, did you think that something like this was possible for you guys in year one?
I mean, of course, that's always a long shot, but you never sell yourself short, And I always knew, like you said something that was pretty, hit me right in the heart. This is my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
And being a part of that kind of tradition back in the day in the 97, 98, and all those early 90 years, I knew that the capabilities here were definitely one of those to be able to achieve. And I knew the kids were here. And so I knew it was just a matter of a mentality change and getting these kids to buy into what we believe in.
Was there a moment during the regular season that you felt it? You felt like, okay, it's all come together. Or maybe in the preseason, was there a moment that you thought, all right, we might have something special here. We might be able to get to where we want to go.
I don't know if I ever felt that moment. I just knew that every day we were getting better, and every game we were rising to the challenge that we placed on ourselves every week. And I knew these kids were able to accomplish that, and I just felt like there was too many breaks that were going to be able to slow us down. So it just kind of felt that every day we kept getting better, and I knew that the kids understood that, and I knew that we faced some hard challenges and we played some tough opponents as we got closer into the late preseason and early district, and it was able to set that little, here we are, this is the old Carrizo, and we're here to kick butt and take names.
Talking with Giovanni Gonzalez, the head coach of the Carrizo Springs Wildcats here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TF Today. So then I'm interested in what your message to your guys was going in. That you had been you are an alum, but you had been away from the program. You come in kind of late in the process. School's basically getting out whenever you are taking over. So when you address them as head coach for the first time, what was your message to your guys?
I believe in where you come from. This is Carrizo. Carrizo's got a lot of tradition. Be proud of where you're from, and let's bring back that old school mentality where people got to respect a little small town south of San Antonio, and let's get after it. And I know that there were a lot of critics that always critiqued, me being out of the game for a while, but I took it as a personal level, where I had to up my game. It was nothing that the kids ever knew, but I rose to the challenge as well as them every day, and I surrounded myself with good people.
Mm-hmm.
That was one good thing. I know we had some people on staff. Coach Montel, my OC, he was here on staff, just hadn't been given the opportunity to be on the offensive side and help with call playing. And once I gave him that, he rose to the challenge as well. And being able to bring in, Coach Ains on the defensive side, he was a co-worker of mine we worked with back in Crystal City that we had hired before. And being able to come and give him this opportunity to be the first year as a DC, and a lot of the other good coaches that were here on staff, and getting them to buy in on what we believe in. And so it was just a message that came from the heart. And most kids know when you're genuine and you care for them and make sure you love them every day, they understand that this is what it's all about.
One of the things that I think is really remarkable about you guys' 2021 season was you took over a defense that wasn't bad. It was about average. It was doing okay, and you made them elite. With guys like Oscar Persano and David Castro. It goes on and on. The defensive guys that Sergio Sonora, guys who were really strong for you defensively. What was it about your defense that really stood out to you? What was it about your defense because I know you're a defensive guy. What was it about your defense that really kind of clicked for you guys?
Yeah, just like I said, a good asset that what I was able to bring in with Coach Haynes, we believe in the same thing. We're a stingy defense. We fly to the football. We're going to hit it and rip it and get it out of your hands. And, we have that mentality that, every day at practice, we go live. We're going to make sure that the way we practice is the way we play, and we preach that every day. And it's just a mentality deal. They got to stay hungry. We had that eye of the tiger on a lot of those guys out there, and they just became that stingy defense that we were looking for. And we started taking it personal. It was an enjoyable deal. Coach Haynes took a lot of pride in it, and it was just a matter of making sure we were trying to shut people down. The least yards, of course, that's our mentality always as any coach. But, we put that table on there for them, and we said, hey, rise to the challenge. Let's keep shutting people down and just maximize what we do best, and that's tackle people, intercept the ball, and come up and make good plays.
I don't want to bring up a sore subject, but you guys go 10-0 in the regular season, and then the playoffs roll around. You take on a good Port Isabel squad, and they take you guys down. Carrizo is you guys haven't won a playoff game since 1998. I'm interested if that's something you guys talk about. Is that something that you guys are using as fuel here in the off season?
Yeah, most definitely. We keep reminding ourselves that, whether it is Port Isabel or whether it's the next opponent come for next year, but, we can't let somebody outwork us, and we got to be able to, shun from the idea of being a deer caught in the headlights, and everything that could go wrong went wrong during that playoff game. Starting out with the opening drive, fumble here, right 10-yard line, getting ready to score, and interception. And we did have a lot of kids that had never been in that situation. And these kids, I don't take away anything that they accomplished all season long. But, it's something that will definitely remain in our our brain for a long time. That, we want to be able to rise to that challenge and take over and do what we're capable of doing. Yes, sir.
Well, and you guys are going to bring back a fair amount from this year's squad. Most notably, you bring back a district MVP, the quarterback, in Evan Castellanos, who I know was a real breakout star for you guys as a sophomore.
Yes.
What is it about this young man that makes him special?
He's got the leadership qualities. He's a quiet individual, but he leads by example in the weight room as of right now, and especially on the football field. He's just got a strong magnetic, magnetism that just draws him to be able to get the other teammates on his team to, hey, jump on board and let's get it done. And he's just a respectful young man. He understands the game. He's got a good IQ as far as football. And he loves it. And that's just it. Most kids, you ask them, hey, do you love playing the game? And he's one of those individuals that loves it, and he's ready to rise to that next year's challenge. It's going to be tough for sure. A lot of bullseyes are going to be on him and along with everybody else here in Carrizo. But, he's just got to stay humble, and that's just one thing we do. We preach that every day. We stay humble, but we stay hungry.
Speaking of 2022 and the future, realignment has come and gone. You guys get a little bit of a shakeup in your district. Gone are rivals like Hondo and Crystal City, who are dropping down. You guys add a program in San Antonio YMLA into a 5-team district. I'm interested from your perspective, when you take a look at your district draw, what was surprising to you, and what do you see as far as the future is concerned?
Yeah, I knew that as soon as they were talking, numbers-wise were coming out, I knew they were going to end up taking out Hondo and Crystal. We were going back and forth debating, and my biggest deal was, darn it, I hope they don't leave us with a 5-team district, but they went ahead and did, and that's always a struggle because then we're having to try to find a week 6, but, you said it best, we're not going to lose those teams as far as not playing them in the preseason. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, we have Hondo scheduled. And we have Crystal City, they're close too. So those will be definitely good games for us to get after it. But now with the new opponent coming in, YMLA, we just have to see what they got to offer. Of course, it's never an easy road having to go through Divine for our district. Mm-hmm. So we just have to stay hungry and keep after it. I'm sure that it's going to be a tough year. We got a lot to prove, and so does everyone else in the district, starting out with Bandera and Pearsall.
Start talking with Carrizo Springs coach Giovanni Gonzalez here on Texas Football Today. Coach, we've danced around it finally, and I just got to ask you about it. You are an alum there at Carrizo Springs. It's a homecoming for you. I imagine that people are pretty fired up to have a hometown boy back on the helm. But most importantly, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up 1996, 1997, and 1998, where you had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons there for the Wildcats. I believe 3 of the top 8 highest rushing totals in program history. The question is simple: can you still get out there and go? If we need like 10 carries or something like that, can we get it from you?
I don't think I'll be able to do that, but I might be able to give one at least. But that's just it. You know what I mean? And I know, I might beat around this, but when we were put to the challenge, it's like all these other young men out there, including my age and older, and we all reminisce those good days about playing football. But it was a humbling feeling, and when you knew you gave it everything you had, and you never let down your coaches. That's kind of what we ask our kids to do. And they did that this year very well.
He's Giovanni Gonzalez. He's the head coach of the Carrizo Springs Wildcats. Coach, we really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on a fantastic 2021 debut season, and can't wait to see what you do for an encore.
Awesome, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, and thanks for all the great publicity.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. There he goes. Giovanni Gonzalez, the head coach of the Carrizo Springs Wildcats, joining us here on Texas Football Today. Cool for an alum. This is his first head coaching job. He was out of the game a little bit, but came back to football. He was defensive coordinator at Crystal City and at Uvalde, but got an opportunity to coach his hometown. He was the running back on the team that won their last playoff game back in 1998.
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah. So he's,
And the outright district championship in 97.
Mm-hmm. It means a lot to him. You know what I mean? You can tell it means a lot to him to be able to do that. I know at one point during the season, I think after they beat Bandera or something like that, who was, I think, 4-1 going into the game, we had Coach Gonzalez on Bally, and we talked with him, and it was really cool because if you go back, I'll try to find it and I'll tweet out the video, but he was in the locker room and like everyone was crowding around the phone. He's like holding the phone up here, and it was like I'm talking 30 guys standing back there just in the locker room, all very quiet. Nobody's like, sometimes you do that. They're going, what?
Yeah.
They're all just like standing there very polite, like,
I just want to see what's going on.
What's going on? Like they're not making a scene. Like I think we had to ask him to have the guys make a scene at the end of it. You know what I mean? But big doings down there. And I'll be honest, I think you take a look at their district. Obviously the challenge is a 5-team district and they're part of the state. You saw the map. Where they are.
I mean that trip to Bandera is a long drive. That's no light trek.
Long way. But look, I look at their region, and the region's going to go through District 13, right? Wimberley, Geronimo Navarro, right? Things like that. Sinton's going to be a challenge as well. But, like, you look at Carrizo, and especially if they can get past Divine within their own district, that's a long-time rivalry with the Warhorses. But if they can get past that game, then, like...
They can make some noise. Especially for that part of the state.
I think you're exactly right. They're in Region 4, and obviously they've got the right man at the helm there in Giovanni Gonzalez, who put together one of the most impressive first years that we saw in Texas in 2021. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts?
If you could be... I don't think I've ever asked you this. If you could be a football coach, what would you want to coach? Would you want to be a head coach? Would you want to be an offensive guy, defensive? Like, what are we thinking here? It made me think about it when he was talking about his coaches and like the defensive coordinator giving him a shot to call the plays and stuff like that. Do you know?
Special teams.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of pressure. That would be good.
Well, no. There's a lot of pressure. Because if you screw up, everyone's talking about it.
That's fair,
right? It's a high risk position. But. So, is it Jim Fossil? Is he the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys?
No, Dan Quinn is.
I'm sorry, for the special teams coordinator. I think special teams coordinator is Jim Fossil. I would spend all my time coming up with wacky crap. Like offense.
Imagine that the big idea guy wants to.
Like offense, there's too much going on in your base offense that you can't go crazy. Defense, you're kind of in some ways at the mercy of
I don't feel like you're aggressive enough to be a defensive coordinator.
Special teams.
You can get weird. And
you've only got like there's punting, there's kicking, there's and all that fun stuff, right? Punt coverage, et cetera, et cetera. But you want to talk about an opportunity where let's get those 5 normal things out of the way and get those down pat. and then let's get weird.
I was going to say,
That's what I wanna do.
this would be a transition from your job now where you say, hey, I've got a big dumb idea, to another job where you can go, hey, I got a big dumb idea.
I have a lot of big dumb ideas.
So hear me out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Special. Yeah. That tracks.
Special teams fits me really well.
Math Tuesday. The math adds up.
Oh, I'd come up with something real. I'd come up with the dumbest fake punts you've ever seen, and the weirdest onside kicks. I mean, I would put. I love when they put like 2 kickers out there. And they're like, who's gonna kick it? Like I would come up with the stupidest crap. That's what I would do.
God, this all tracks.
Hire me to be your special teams coordinator. It may not be good, but it'll be fun.
That's going
to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Giovanni Gonzalez of Carrizo Springs for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow for episode 1330 whatever on Texas Football Today.